Hi everyone. I know I thought I'd give you all a wee surprise. This was a girl that wasn't going to make any more videos, but you know, a girl's entitled to change her mind from time to time, isn't she? And sometimes there's subjects that I feel that I want to talk about. I just get a wee notion in my head, and I think, right, I'll do a video. And I'm going to start again by saying it's not a pity post, which it's not, because I don't believe in, crying out for pity. I'm not a pity person, really I'm not, but I really wanted to talk today. I wanted to go in depth a wee bit more about misconceptions of the misconceptions that people have about people that don't work, and the misconceptions related to chronic fatigue, which I have. I know I've spoken in the past about chronic fatigue, and maybe have gone into a wee bit more depth of it, but I want to talk about it today. And as I say, I really want to talk about the misconceptions that people have about generally about people that don't work, and people that have chronic fatigue. So I'm going to start by giving you a background as to how I came to have chronic fatigue. I have had chronic fatigue now for 13 and a half years. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue in yeah, okay. 2010? Yeah, 2010 or 2011. It would be January 2011. That's when I was actually officially given my diagnosis of chronic fatigue. In the run up to me being diagnosed, 2010 was actually the worst year of my life. I lost my mother in the April of that year, and me being a only child, I had the job of disposing of the contents of our flat, which is, it's not a nice job at the best times, and it's not an easy job. You can't just dispose of things willy-nilly. It's somebody's life, and I was actually given 1 week to do it by the council. 1 week. Up until then I'd looked after my mother for 7 years, and to let you understand, my mother was actually schizophrenic. She was schizophrenic. She was okay, she was fine when her medication was okay, but sometimes he used to tamper around with her medication, and yeah, life could get extremely difficult at times when her medication was out of sync. I was a carer in a nursing home. I was also a carer in the community, but it's a completely different ball game when you're caring for somebody, your own. It's a completely different ball game. But I have no regrets. I promised my mother that I wouldn't put her in a nursing home. So, So that's the backstory to me being diagnosed with chronic fatigue. I also had to move house in that year. 2 months before Christmas, I was given a call to say you have to move, and so that was like 2 huge stressful events in the 1 year. They give you a list of stress, life life-changing events or the most stressful events, and these two are, in amongst that. I was in a private let at that point, and the old gentleman that owned it died, and his son decided he wanted to sell it. So 2 months before Christmas I was told I had to move. So yeah, it was really quite a very stressful time, or a stressful year, to be honest. I remember after losing my mother, and after my mother had the funeral and things like that, all I remember is that I just wanted to sleep the whole time. I just wanted to sleep round the clock the whole time, and even sleeping, I still just felt drained. I had no energy. Whatsoever. I had worked all my life, but I did actually give up my work to look after my mother, because I couldn't do both. I did try and do both initially, but it wasn't a viable option. I was getting phone calls at my work all the time saying my mum wasn't, she had done this or she had done that, and at times my mum wasn't really safe to be on her own. To be honest, she wasn't. So yeah, working and looking after my mother was not a viable option. So yeah, I must have went to the doctor and said, I'm just, I'm totally drained. I've got no energy, and there is no definitive test. There's no definitive test for chronic fatigue. You go and they rule everything else out, and that's how you're diagnosed. They don't know what causes it, and they don't know how to treat it either. And up till now, there's no treatment for it. You get folic acid, you get vitamin D, and that's it. There's no follow-up. There's nothing. Chronic fatigue, or fatigue generally, is not the same as being tired. Everybody gets tired, and a normal person will get tired and they'll have a good night's sleep, and the next day they'll be tickety-boo. It doesn't work like that with chronic fatigue. And a person with chronic fatigue, we have a battery, and everything that we do, it takes battery power. So, big things, little things, the battery will go down, no matter how big or how small the task is. That's how it works with chronic fatigue. And this is why they always say, and I've read about it, and I don't know how to implement it. I've not learned how to implement it yet, that you're supposed to keep everything on a baseline. So you keep everything on a baseline so you don't have this huge fluctuation in symptoms, which I do, because I don't know how to manage it. I really don't. You get a lot of muscle pain. If you overdo it. You can be quite prone to having an irritable bowel at times. You can get headaches. There's just a huge smorgasbord of different symptoms related to chronic fatigue. But I would say that 9 times out of 10, if I say to somebody I've got chronic fatigue, and I know, they just look at me like I'm talking out my ass. and that's fine. That is totally fine. I don't need to explain myself to anybody. I really, really don't, you know. I really don't have to explain myself to anybody. I think one of the biggest misconceptions as well about people that don't work is maybe they're quite happy about the fact that they don't work. And that's not the case. It's not the case with me anyway. I keep myself busy all day, as much as I can. And it's one of the main reasons I work voluntary, and it's also one of the reasons why I'm so happy that I discovered poetry, because it's given me an outlet, it's given me a focus, because basically I don't know how anybody else feels that is unable to work. There is people out there that are quite happy not working, and there is people out there that are milking the system. You know, let's be brutally honest about that. There's like 1,000 people that are milking the system. I'm afraid I'm not one of them. As you can see, I get up, I dress up, and I show up every day. I might stay in my pyjamas at the weekend, because if I do a shift on a Friday, well, it used to be a Friday, I've changed it to, I do different days. I'm quite flexible with my boss at Bernardo's, and I am more than happy to do more than one day, but I don't sit around in my pyjamas all day watching daytime TV. I really, really don't. And if I was capable of holding down paid employment, I would be doing it. I would. You know. As I say, this is why I'm so delighted now that I have found poetry, and it's given me the outlet, it's given me a focus, something to do, you know, because there is nothing worse than getting up in the morning and your whole day stretching ahead, and you're like, yeah, that's true. So I just wanted to, you know, bust a few myths and misconceptions here today, because I know, you know, but you really, unless you've walked in somebody's sandals for a day, you should never judge a book by its cover. Never ever. You know, not all illnesses are visible, and you know, just because I don't have a stookie on my arm or a plaster cast, it doesn't mean that I've not got something wrong with me. I have good days and I have bad days, and even on the good days, some days, you know, with chronic fatigue, there is just no rhyme or reason to chronic fatigue, and I find that aspect of it very frustrating. It can fluctuate so much, and it can also even fluctuate over the course of a day. Like I can wake up and think, oh right, okay, today I've got quite a bit of energy, and then I go and maybe try and, you know, do something, and I do too much, and then I'm trashed again. So it is a very fluctuating, it's a very unpredictable illness. A very unpredictable illness, but I would also say that in terms of my chronic fatigue and my own personal story, I am grateful for the fact that I'm not bedridden, because there is people that are bedridden for years with it. And there is a more severe form of chronic fatigue which is called ME. And yeah, no, I don't nap. I was feeling pretty tired earlier on, but I've got, I don't want to nap. I don't believe in napping. But at night before I go to sleep, if I want to read, and I try to read a book, 9 times out of 10, I'm gone, and I wake up and I've got, my neck is done because I've, yeah. It is not as bad, it's probably not as bad as it was when I was initially diagnosed, but I still have it. I'm always going to have it, as far as I know. They keep saying you can, sorry, I can't find the word I'm looking for, but you can be, cured. There's no cure, unless I learn to manage it better. There's no supplement that you can take. Like I know you get, if people are having a temporary bout of tiredness, like maybe after they've had the flu or something like that, they'll maybe take something that'll give them a wee bit of a boost. Like, I can't think off the top of my head. I've tried loads of supplements, and they only have a temporary effect, and that's all. There's nothing, because it's nothing to do with diet, and it's nothing to do with sleep. It's nothing to do with these two things, chronic fatigue. And fatigue is not the same as being tired. It's not. It's really not. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on and make this video today. I've seen I've been speaking for 20 minutes, but, I just wanted to bust a few myths and misconceptions. I haven't thought of anything, as I say, the poetry, and like that short that I just made, like 1 view, seriously. So yeah, I don't know, I really don't know, I haven't a clue. I'm just playing, I'm winging it, and I'm playing it by ear. I hope you're all keeping really well. Until next time, bye for now.